Hello, viewers. I'm SB,
And I am Amabel.
and welcome back to Amabel Goes to Forex School, Auriga Edition. Amabel's little trip to Auriga here. We've been starting the games so zoomed out, so thinking about the world state. I wanted to just take a second here and appreciate the extremely good art direction in this video game. I love the way this game looks so much. I love this little war game terrain kind of vibe that all the environment art has. It's perfect. It's so good. Also, the unique architecture and stuff that you can see in all the buildings, and the way everything that's made of pearls has this kind of appearance, and yeah, it's just a cool and good game. So, as you'll remember, last time we were suddenly making a hell of a lot of progress really quickly on our faction quest, and we have the next step of our quest here, I think, about to fire when the beginning of the next turn occurs. Also, upon loading back into the game here, we have a communique from Red. This happens sometimes. My understanding of what's going on with this is that all of the AI players sort of recalculate their position fresh with you on game load.
Okay.
So you sometimes get a little bit of a diplomatic shift, when you were in a situation where they might have offered you something before, but there was some kind of lingering preference toward a previous state. Now that we've loaded fresh, there is no such there's no more lingering, and so Red has proposed a trade. If we would teach them the secrets of cargo docks, they would hook us up with their knowledge of prisoners, slaves, and volunteers, which is a thing that we were thinking of picking up. I'm gonna go into counter proposal here. Okay, this is weighted pretty far toward them. Their vibe is that this is a thing they'd really like to do. We might be able to get a little bit more from them on this. They are not super willing to trade us anything, actually. We don't have any glass steel. What can I get from them in terms of glass steel? Would they trade us? No, they would not trade us even 5 glass steel. One is too much. 1 overwrites the entire positivity of the deal.
That's
bananas. Just bananas. We could get both of their pearls off of them, but to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know that I want to pay what is currently an entire turn worth of influence for 2 pearls, when that 2 pearls doesn't even get us a new building or anything. I think I'm just going to go ahead and take the deal as they're offering it to us.
Man, can you imagine playing Katana with this asshole?
That suits us. We accept your offer. So the good news is that was we were 2 technologies away from moving up. We are now 1 technology away from moving up. When Public Works finishes, we are in Era 4. Unfortunately, several other players are in better eras than that, but listen, we're doing what we can. Okay, this centaur's whole deal was getting the pearl that was over here. I guess there's an unsearched sea ruin. We can go grab that. And we're building important stuff in lots of places. This city has quite a few districts, so the effect of the Advanced Alchemy Lab will be pretty strong here. And I have no idea where our faction quest is going. I do not remember the faction quests. There was a time when I knew the general shape of most of them. That time was years ago. So I guess let's just see what happens. I'm a little concerned about this, I will say. There's an awful lot of pink troops in our territory, including an Urkin loaded into a transport ship. But I think they're on the way to fuck up Red. I don't think they're going to suddenly declare on us. And just to get an overall sort of vibe of the world, they are at war with Green. So that's a little concerning. Pink is at war with our ally. But yeah, aside from that, everything pretty much is as it was. People don't like Red. Is the major story of this game. So it is probably worth it for us to keep an eye on this. Once purple and or pink knock red out, they're going to just have these large standing armies with no current purpose. And at that point, I am perhaps concerned. At that point, we will perhaps need to worry. Okay, very inconvenient. Strange crop of mushrooms appears, and plus 30% technology cost on researches, offsetting all the research we did last turn. But our faction quest is rolling forward. We have picked up cold engineering, which unlocks winter versions of the pillars. And now we must increase our notoriety and develop our network to collect information. Produce a minimum of 30 influence for a period of 5 turns in one of your cities. And upon doing so, we will receive the tech to make even more expensive weapons out of titanium and glass steel. Stuff that we definitely cannot afford. Alright, so we have to have one city producing 30 influence. Our largest population city is definitely Graldam. How many people do we have to drag over onto influence? Almost everybody, it turns out. Influence production is pretty inefficient. We are working on a building to make this more functional, but I definitely want to get this done in 5 turns. So let's just stay on it. And at this point, we have an awful lot of money. I think it is time, perhaps, to start words. To start doing words. It's time to start buying governors. I guess, like, I don't know if I want to do anything particularly tricky with the shape of this city in regards to allowing pillars to do stuff with it, because I kind of want to just build around our cargo docks and level them up, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad play at all. Okay. Yeah, so let's, because there's nothing, we don't need to like be super aggressive with buying buildings in this city, I don't think. We should definitely build a cargo dock so that we can make ocean trade. And I guess it makes sense to buy out the cargo dock because we're not going to finish it any other way. The city's split in a weird way. Do we want to maybe just focus on... the focus on industry doesn't get us that much extra value. I do want this cargo dock done. I'm debating whether I want to just rush it or not. Let's have a look at the hero market. Obviously, it would be much better to have picked up a bunch of governors before this, but this is when we have the money. So, Breos Master Ice Spear here has expansion support and science boost. Expansion support is a reduction in expansion disapproval, so the city will just be a little bit happier. And then science boost is, you know, a little bit of flat science. It's fine. It's fine. We're hoping to see some stuff at higher levels. Okay, Satasa has influence boost too. Unfortunately, Satasa... Ooh, wow. Okay. I was going to say Satasa's a Morgar, and Morgar do not have great governing skills. And then on top of that, he's already got a couple of skill points spent in a pretty dubious way. Not a super great one, but +2 influence per hero's level on city when he's already level 4. That's pretty compelling, right?
Yeah.
What else do we got here? This guy just has army attack boost 3, not very good as a governor skill. Dust boost 3 is interesting, and Duke Unwin Waybridge has a you know, he has some skills that are a little bit more appropriate to our situation. Just like a lot of dust production.
Yeah, but I'm a little nervous.
Yeah?
Because you don't want to unwin. You want to win.
Sweetie, we are not close enough to victory for it to even be possible for us to unwin. I wouldn't worry about it. Follow Tegret here is, yep, all commander type stuff. Army damage boost 3 is impressive though. That's a mean capacity. Army defense boost 2. A lot of these people are not particularly well suited to governing. Influence efficiency. So most governors have these boost traits, which give the city an amount of resource based on the governor's level. The efficiency traits, instead of doing that, improve the amount of resource produced by citizens who are working on that resource. And so something like influence efficiency can be better in a city that has a high population, if you're, on the resource that that city wants to focus on. I don't necessarily love influence efficiency here. I don't think it's a thing we are really like hard focusing, except for these 5 turns. You just have army boost. Strikes Far has industry and food boost. That's pretty great. And then Temokrian, again, it's all kind of army stuff. Strikes Far seems like an obvious winner. So industry boost 2, plus 4 industry per hero level. He's already level 6. So it's just a flat 24 industry. He has even more food. And he's a necrophage. So upside, he's a giant bug man. Further upside, the necrophage skill tree has tons and tons of useful stuff in it. Look at all this food. And then look at all this food.
Can you go back to the bird one? I want to. What's the bird skill?
The bird skill is trying to express that if he is the commander of an army, that army gets health regen, gets bonus health regen in friendly territory. It's a little, some of the way they've worded the tooltips and stuff, it gets the idea across, but maybe not always in the cleanest or most concise way.
Okay, yeah.
I do appreciate that it's mostly pretty direct about the mechanics, at least. There's not a lot of interpretation that needs to be done. So yeah, I like Strikes Far a lot. He is well within budget. Let's take him. And then the question is, where do we put him? We could put him in Ideli and try to just give it a shot in the arm. The individual points of food and industry will be most felt in the city that has the lowest population and the most stuff yet to build. But we also could make him like the governor of Graldom and push our most effective city even further and harder. I don't know. With both of these capacities, I'm kind of inclined to throw him in here. I think just getting this city like properly established is a good idea. So he has a couple of skill points unspent. I think I'm just going to take the rest of necrotic agriculture real fast here. We'll get all of that flat bonus food. And then this skill reduces the cost of units built in the city, which is pretty all right. There we go. And he's got those cargo docks down to 5 turns. We may yet buy them out. I probably will just save to try to, keep hiring more heroes. Oh, hey, Purple. How's it going? Okay, 15 glass steel. That's actually very handy because we are very low on glass steel and we don't have any deposits. What about you? Do you find anything interesting? Oh, I guess I did. I discovered a technology, and we were one technology away from the next era, so okay. Now we know how to build fire ships. Welcome to the Age of Industry. Only 40 turns behind everybody else. We do have one source of Hyperium. Oh, we built the city on top of it. Well, that's pretty cool. A strategic or luxury resource that you have a district on top of automatically gets an extractor built on it the moment you have the appropriate technology. So that's neat. We also have a couple sources of pixie blood, which is to say there are places nearby where there are pixies. And, you just juice them. Pixie blood gives all of your armies a considerably improved health regen, like really a lot of health regen in friendly territory. Or sorry, in your own territory. It is not one of the better luxuries. But it is a luxury, there's something to be said for that. Okay, so Strike's Far has been assigned. I think I'm going to go ahead and finish our research of public works before we jump onto anything in the new era, because we're almost done with it, and I do think it's quite a useful technology. And then honestly, we might go right into Rare Metal Foundry and just get that Hyperium coming up out of the ground, because that stuff is useful. Then maybe we'll develop the Painosphere. Real, actual technology. Do not steal.
Okay.
All right, 5 turns. We got to keep our influence running. Oh, the lighting's changing. Is it eclipse time? I feel like it's been forever since we've had an eclipse.
Been a minute.
Like we had a whole winter come and go with no eclipse, which is a thing that does happen sometimes. It's unusual, but we're just lucky, I guess. All right, Zarcha Atenul has continued to level up, and we are definitely grabbing all of this extra science. Okay, jump over to Undon here. I think Undon, I'm going to continue just building around the dock. We'll get that leveled up as quickly as we can. Although we're going to run into population issues. You need to get on land near some temple ruins. Are there temple ruins down here? There are. Okay. So I'm going to have our centaur move down toward these ruins because the ruins that are further north, we can pop somebody out of. Oh, that's right. We don't have any units at any of the garrisons anymore. We used all those bodies for other things. Well, we can just build a new unit, I guess. Boy, that's only kind of true. All right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to, sorry, not edit, new unit design based on the Centaur. This is Fast Horsey. This is the Fast Horsey. This one is going to be optimized for cost. So we are not equipping anything other than an improved movement talisman. You are not a fighting unit. What?
Do you spell horsey with an EY?
Yeah.
Not an IE?
Horse.
Oh, we've been together for over 2 years. I didn't know this. This is just a.
Oh no! I just got myself fired from my relationship live on the air. Please don't stop loving me.
I cannot imagine ever stopping loving you.
Even for something as brutal as this, as grim as this.
I mean, you still love me despite the fact that I made you watch Clifford (1994). So I feel like you'd have to do something really terrible.
You know what? I love you more. I love you more because that happened. There's a temple rune over there. Maybe I'm going to go for that one real quick. Yeah, this is actually like a pretty okay time for an eclipse. We have a moment here where it makes sense to go around and collect a bunch of stuff. Red is managing to hold their one city, and I guess that's fine.
So let me ask you a question about the unit building. Because when you build a settler, it takes one of your population points?
Uh-huh, yeah.
Does it do that for building other units or just for building a settler?
Just for building a settler, and that's you've actually sort of stumbled into something there. I don't know of any 4X games where it doesn't cost a population point from the city to build a settler. And the idea is, right, like those are the people that are going to settle the new city, right? They're leaving the old city,
Right.
going to the new city. However, the idea that it should cost you population to build military units, because the same thing is happening, right? You have people in your city leaving the productive area of the city to go and do other things, has definitely gained a lot of currency over the last few years. I think that it's definitely it's sort of important as a solution to a bunch of annoying problems. Also, fuck this guy for being over here to steal my ruins. And in fact, he's got so much movement, he's going to steal this one too, I think.
You know, especially as a
he totally is. What
indicator.
An asshole.
Population is an indicator of the pool one can recruit from when building a military. You know.
Yeah.
Like.
So this game doesn't do that. But you're gonna see that in some of the upcoming stuff, particularly some of the more recently made upcoming stuff. All right, and you can see here, time is ticking away. We are 2 turns of 5 through our quest. We in theory have an empire plan coming up soon. At this point,
sure do. Yeah.
It will cost us 600 influence to just maintain the empire plan we went with last time, and we are on track to hit that. In no small part because we have to keep our people assigned to influence in that one city for 3 more turns.
Okay.
So I think the plan for this empire plan is just to do the same thing we did last time. Maintain the same science and building bonuses. So you can see it takes time for the computer to play out their turn.
Yeah.
And often, when we hit end turn, it rolls over into the next round immediately, basically, because it is often the case that we are the last one still playing. But that's not always the case, and particularly at this point in the game, as the AI has so much stuff to worry about, but we're playing a very internal game with a very small number of units. Our turns are getting faster, while their turns are getting slower. We're going to see more and more like hesitation at the end of the round while they have to like actually finish stuff up.
Okay.
And so it turns out I maybe didn't even need to try to rush out a fast horsey because that Alayi dude came through our territory and stole everything. We get a couple of ruins to search up here. Okay, 20 Quicksilver, not enough to run a booster. Also, I don't know if it's obvious to you, but the UI is starting to get a little bit sluggish. It's starting to get a little bit harder to give my units orders and stuff, and that will continue to be the case as long as the computer units are still taking their turns, as long as there's a lot of other stuff going on.
I don't remember this happening as much in the last playthrough, but maybe it was and I wasn't noticing that.
Well, I think the situation for the computer players was less complicated in the last playthrough.
Right. Gotcha.
You gotta remember they have more going on here because they're playing the game better. What are we trying to push through here? I am a little bit short on population. We need 1 more point of population in order to build the other borough that we want here. So for the moment, we're just gonna get ourselves an advanced alchemy lab going. And I think it is probably time to hire on another hero. Okay, yeah, they haven't scaled out of our cost just yet. So the hero market gets replaced like sort of slowly in bits over time. It's not like a full reset very often. So we're seeing a lot of the heroes that we have seen before, but we got a couple of new ones. Jasa Murdap here is a roving clans hero with food boost 1 and dust efficiency 3, which is kind of a weird set of traits. The roving clans, as you might imagine, they have a lot of dust and trade focused skills in their tree, which is fine. It's important to us to have money. It's also important to have a lot of science. And we do have this lovely Science Boost 3 Ardent Mage. And as we know, the Ardent Mage tree is very good for science. I think we're definitely hiring Argbad Bose Falha.
That's a moniker.
And I am going to put her in the big city. She's going to benefit more from being in a place where there is more science to improve. Now, one thing we haven't really talked about yet, let me apply this, is the, obviously there's a lot of equipment that helps you as an army commander, right? Equipment that helps you fight, equipment that improves the function of your troops. If you get the armor technology for a set of resources, it also unlocks the accessories for that set of resources, and in addition to the kinds of stuff you would wear into combat to buff your troops or buff your own personal stats, there are these tomes you can equip that improve the function of a city that you are governing. So we do have access to some ways to spend our resources that will, improve like the science output of citizens who are working science in a city. It is worth noting these are very expensive. That's 20 titanium to equip this on one hero. And right now we're still very focused on building stuff, but at some point we want to, dip out of engine mode and back into rush toward the end of the game mode, potentially, theoretically, maybe. And at that point it'll make some sense to put on that kind of equipment. And I think with that, we are good to just move forward here. Ideli is completing its cargo docks, so we'll be able to run trade out of there to our friends. Although I think there's a maximum trade distance. I think you can only trade over one ocean region, or something like that. So like, our friends are not actually very close to us over here, unfortunately. Red has reclaimed Karandar. For the moment, we'll see. Yeah. And hey, look,
Red's not having a good game.
This guy's still running around. That's interesting. So sorry, I feel like I cut you off as you were about to say something.
Well, so something I find interesting, if I'm remembering correctly, so in this game, you have the heroes you can hire who you can either assign as governors or as military commanders.
I'm trying so hard to search this ruin, by the way. Oh, there's Mycara on it. That's why. Okay, well.
And when we played Civ, like, governors and military, they're a separate pool.
Well, they're just wholly different systems.
Yeah.
The thing that they call governors in Civ 6 has nothing to do with. Yeah, it's a whole different thing. They don't have this idea of hero characters. The hero characters are actually quite common in the fantasy and science fiction type 4X games.
I mean, it also makes sense because the thing with fantasy and science fiction to a degree is they feel like they have more in common generally with ancient and medieval history than with modern history, even though they're not historical games. Like, they harken back to even the science fiction ones, science fiction as a genre.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not familiar with these games in the science fiction mode, but they harken back to these kind of things where those roles might be conflated, whereas you have that less today because you have very clear boundaries between like a civilian authority and a professional military, and I think that's interesting. Tell me what you're gonna about what's going on here. I'm sorry.
There's nothing to be sorry for. Khazar has been defeated. Khazar, remember, was pink.
Okay.
So pink ran their army with Khazar support up onto this landmass and either attacked green or were positioning to attack green, and then green showed up and counterattacked, and they were able to, it looks like, defeat the large pink army and also defeat Khazar and charm him away from pink. So that's a pretty embarrassing loss for pink. And I mean, I'm sure they have 1 million units, but we don't know if they have 1 million units, proximal.
Yeah.
So that may have blunted their momentum pretty significantly there. All right. We're going to grab this thing just because it's here. And then I don't think there are any other ruins for us to search in the area. The Alagi, or the Kapaku player with the Alagi hero ran through and cleaned things up. So I think I'm going to go just park you in a garrison. You did some good work. Now back to generating XP for a hero. We do still have one over here, but yeah, like, part of the point of this whole thing is, like, you are supposed to be providing insight as much as gaining insight. Do not apologize for.
I just always seem to time it as to when you're about to say something, and then I feel really self-conscious.
There's kind of always something going on to talk about,
Yeah.
That's just the nature of the beast.
So one thing I wanted to ask you, because how many episodes?
Hold on. Before we move away from the subject of the heroes and the way they're represented in the, I think that part of the reason that it's so much more common to see them like that in the science fiction and fantasy games is that it conforms to a certain sort of like mythic storytelling, right?
Yeah.
As much as Civ is like very poisoned by the great man of history noise, like, in stories in the fantasy and science fiction genre, we do that to an even much greater degree, right? Where we have like plot characters who are effectively invulnerable, and right. So I think that the idea of like this hero who has supernatural powers effectively, whether or not they have within the narrative supernatural powers, just comports really well with the way we tell those kinds of stories.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
All right. Sorry. What was the thing you were about to say?
Well, I was gonna say, what was I going to say? Oh, well, so we're so many episodes deep into this series. This is our third Endless Legend run, and we're talking about doing
sort of, yeah,
one more faction after this before we move on, possibly. But so I feel like I've seen a lot of the game, but do you feel like there's a lot of like main mechanics I haven't seen yet between like these two longer runs, or?
Well, I really don't think we've seen all that much combat, honestly. Like,
yeah,
we haven't had reason to get deeply engaged in the war systems. You've seen a little bit of it, and you've seen like the rebuilding the troops and stuff. But these have been pretty like have enough army for people not to try to chew on you in the early game. Type runs.
So that does feel kind of like, and excuse me if I'm talking out of my tuchus here, but it does feel like that's also kind of your play style.
It is absolutely the way I prefer to play a lot of these games. It is not always available. That's something that we're definitely going to be talking about. First of all, there are factions even in this game that just kind of can't work that way. The necrophages are designed so that if you're not fighting, you're functioning at a significant resource deficit. But there are also entire games in the genre and in arguably adjacent genres where like combat is like really the main focus of the mechanics, or where there is like kind of not anything going on outside of the combat systems.
And I know that
we'll get there and we'll talk about it.
And I know there are games or adjacent games in conversation with the genre that are just okay.
I'll take that.
That
Yeah.
are that are just not combat oriented at all. Like,
Not that many. Not that many, really.
well, I'm
Pretty.
thinking of like
It's a pretty.
like
It's a pretty recent phenomenon, and there's just a few of them.
so I've seen you play Slipways, for example.
I do like them an awful lot.
Yeah.
So both of our luxuries that we bought from the market have run out. And I would love to just buy back up on them. Unfortunately, not everything that we would like is available here. We can definitely go back to running grass silk. And this will more than pay for itself. I don't have any grass silk still on hand. Do I? Okay, I need to buy 15 more. There's not a lot of dust water around, sadly. We ran out the supply on the market and nobody's selling it. Okay, so that's enough grass silk to keep that running. And our faction quest rolled forward. Every day, dust becomes less our master, more our servant. Once complex puzzles are now child's play. Verda, my brother, we shall soon find your workshop and avenge your passing. I read that kind of Verda, my brother. I read that with a kind of a weird accent or a weird emphasis. Every night he comes to me in my dreams, always the same. I believe it is a memory, well, part of a memory, but the mind plays tricks, so I cannot be certain. We are children, a handful of years between us. We are walking in the dunes beyond the last tents of our settlement where penitence is offered, the sun hot, the land barren save for a scattering of spine trees. Something sparkles on the sand, and Verda snatches it up. He turns his back and gasps. What? What have you found? I cry, curious, but enjoying being teased nonetheless. Show me. He turns back to me, his hands cupped, eyes gleeful. With this, we could be as powerful as the Souchant sister. He lifts his hands closer, and then the earth shudders, and the sun blinds me momentarily, and when I can see again, he is gone, only his footprints left in the sand.
That's what he was carrying you.
All right. When someone leaves you suddenly, without warning, without answers, it is like having a piece of your heart ripped from you. You are not complete. I know this because, though the shock of his death has now passed, there is still a hole the shape of Verda inside of me. I don't know if we will ever be together again, but I do know that that hole, that wound, will only begin to heal when I learn the truth. That is why Reza's claim that she has found a way to fix the location of my brother's secret hideaway leaves the hairs on the back of my neck raised and the taste of fire on my tongue. Will we learn to tame dust, and will I gain some peace? I offer extreme mortification, praying that when we find this haven, it is much more than a simple retreat. So, we have a greater knowledge of Verda, and we have more influence over the world. Verda had a hidden lab, accessible with his scepter, and a specific incantation. So first we're going to have to erect 4 pillars of extraction, so they're present on the map at the same time. Our pillars are pretty close to expiring.
Okay.
So, Pillar of Extraction is... yeah, I think it's the name of the Dust Pillar, which is not one that we have picked up yet. Yeah, so that's going to be our next research. I do want to finish the Rare Metal Foundry first, though.
Okay.
I want to
Can I
get
tell
the
you...
Imperium flowing.
And I'm really sorry for having to share this, but when the narration talked about the spine trees...
yeah.
So I pictured a tree on which there grows spines, and I pictured, like, Scorpion, like, in an orchard.
Okay.
Taking the spines out of the...
By the way, I'm very proud of you for not laughing out loud when they said hole. Because I know
that would have been inappropriate.
I can feel the energy coming over the wire.
No, the energy was entirely thinking about, like, Scorpion
thinking about
going
Scorpion,
to an orchard, to a spine orchard.
I do know that you spend a lot of time every day thinking about Scorpion, so that does make sense to me. We no longer need to sit on influence here, and I don't think it's terribly reasonable for us to pick up another level of Empire plan that's actually going to be like functional. If we wanted to grab like the extra science or whatever, we'd have to get all the way to 1050.
Yeah.
We could get another tier 1 for just 100 extra influence, but honestly, I don't think these tier 1s are particularly meaningful to us. We could get a reduction in the cost of buying buildings out if we were to go to 900 over here. I think we're sticking with the 600 plan, which means that we can probably pull those people off of influence. Right, with this finishing, we're going to have more influence coming in. Yeah, I think it should be fine. So if we pull all of y'all back to here, and then we build ourselves a national arena, this will put us in a really good place influence-wise, although titanium is a little hard to come by right now. And maybe I should be focused on using my titanium for important science buildings, like these cryometric monitors, which would give us... This city has at least 4 anomalies. No, that's 3. Yeah, that city has 3 anomalies. This city is headed toward a 3rd. So yeah, cryometric monitors in this city makes sense, I think. Yeah, let's use our titanium that way instead. Okay, so actually, a thing that might be worth doing now, since I'm thinking about it, is maybe we push science really hard, because I do want to get those researches done. We do need to have that pillar research completed, right?
Yeah.
So if we move everybody in most of the cities over, I don't want to interrupt the completion of this advanced alchemy lab. I think it is probably a net gain of science to get that done in one turn and then move more people over. And then over here, I might want to just leave these people on industry because they're still building some of the more basic stuff for this city. Well, I guess it's just a dust refinery. Yeah, we'll push everybody onto science. I want to get these pillars figured out quickly because our existing pillars are going to run out quite soon. So a lot of science focus, a lot of science buildings getting completed here. Hopefully this will let us push through 2 techs in quick order. And for the moment, it seems like everybody's busy enough with each other. The players with armies are busy enough focusing on each other that they're not interested in coming after us, which is great news, because if somebody did, we would just fold up like a card table. I have no spare resources, none whatsoever.
Once again, the Amabel strategy proves effective.
All right, so we can get this down here, and that will level up our cargo dock. Also, sorry, this city is supposed to jump over onto science. So the cities where we just built the advanced alchemy lab have this improved science per citizen on them, which is nice. We probably have enough districts here. We have, 4 districts in total for the National Museum to make sense. Yeah, I'm just going to get to work on that. Because obviously it would be nice to be getting those greater empire plans, but we just need significantly higher incomes. All right, we're going to just tuck back into the city. It is possible to burn down the Mycera fungus on the points of interest in this area and thus be able to access them. But doing that will anger the Mycera player because they are getting resources and stuff from those. They want those to stay active.
Okay.
So I'm not going to do it because we are in the business of not pissing off the other players right now. Perhaps our most critical business. Ooh, there's a lot of gold on the market, but demand's also high. People have been buying it, so I don't know that I want to try to purchase the gold we would need to run a booster. Red Sang is a higher tier resource, so its resting point is as high as the gold, sadly. Because this would be nice. It doubles the XP income on heroes. I would love to pick this up, but we don't quite have the cash to put together that booster. We have a Red Sang booster running right now, although it's going to end next turn.
I think the boosters are neat.
I agree, and they give you a good reason to like continue to interact with other players in the market and stuff. Especially since the way resources are distributed around the map is sparse enough that you can't really reliably produce very many things yourself. At least, you know, without doing like this kind of sprawl, which is not necessarily something that everybody can get into. Okay, all of our pillars are ending. We definitely want to hold off on placing any more until we finish the Arcana of Materializing. The Red Sang and the Titan Bones have run out, which is sad times. How bad is our approval? Okay, Empire approval level remains at the highest bonus tier. The bottom value in that tier, but still in that tier. So we want to make sure that we have enough money to put down 4 pillars at once. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to not run any more boosters. We could buy stockpiles, but we don't have any of the technologies that improve them, and so they're kind of a bad deal, in my opinion. We are able to continue picking up heroes. What's on the market right now? We have an Archivist Nachampasesa, who has Food Boost 1. It's kind of okay. Honestly, none of these are super compelling. But Jess and Murdap's like kind of okay. Unwin Waybridge is probably better. It is a fair amount of dust. Now the thing is, ideally, you want to put a Broken Lord in a city that has a river. We don't have a ton of rivers to work with. Mining Authority would be valuable in a couple of our regions. And then, you know, eventually you're on like Dust Trickery and just like really dramatically boosting the dust output of a city. It's level 4, so he's 24 dust per turn just sort of by himself. I think I'm going to go ahead and hire him. It's going to be 2 turns until we have the Arcana available, and we'll make like 700 dust in that time.
Okay.
So we will definitely have enough to put down the stuff we need. Do I want him in? I think Undond is growing a little bit more effectively than the other one, the one that we settled quickly as a way of keeping the other player out of it. Oh, right. If we're going to be picking up the bonus resource extraction rate, we definitely want him down here grabbing the Hyperium. And the extra titanium is no small thing either. Okay, so Khazar has gone and flipped back to the necrophages. There's a lot of combat going on between green and pink. Yeah, Fakir is actually pretty wounded. Something big happened over there. Unfortunately, green hit us with that vision embargo, so we don't get to know what it is. In a mechanical sense, of course, this doesn't matter at all, because it's not like we would have been able to like help. To be perfectly honest with you, I'm not sure what green is getting out of being allied with us. Aside from, you know, having a someone who theoretically has their back, right? Somebody who is not inclined to backstab them because we are reliant on them for safety.
Yeah.
All right, not a lot to do on that turn. And hey, that was turn 100.
Oh, Empire Plan.
We committed the Empire Plan already.
Right.
Where were you?
I was okay.
Where were you at?
I was thinking about green.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what you were thinking about.
What does that mean?
I mean, I think we all know that you were daydreaming about Scorpion again.
Okay, that's...
You were like, gosh, I sure would love to get over there. I know you. I know your ways.
Sweetheart,
Yeah.
You know that thing when I do a runner or I do a reference or a gag and you're like, it's not funny if no one else knows what you're talking about?
Yeah.
So this thing where...
My audience knows the Scorpion says get over here.
Okay.
Okay,
but
technology costs return to normal, which is rad.
They don't know that I have like zero interest in Mortal Kombat and also in Scorpion. So like the fact that you keep saying,
I feel like that can be divined from context.
I guess.
So we got to put down 4 of these pillars of extraction.
I always assume everything you say you're being sincere about, so I
which is weird.
I have autism.
Okay, that's I don't think that's how we talk about it generally. I am afflicted.
I didn't say afflicted. Whoa, I didn't say afflicted.
You suggested it. Okay.
I proudly have autism.
Am on the spectrum. Just that's how we okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna put down 1 more. We can afford to put down 1 more. And they are producing an awful lot of dust. At this point, to put down a 6th pillar would cost another 400 dust. But yeah, that'll get us
do that.
another step toward the taste of fire. So, technologically speaking, where are we headed next? The next big science building, unfortunately, is very expensive resource-wise. Not something that we are in a good position to build a lot of. We can pick up endless mechanisms, which will give us the technology that we need, a better understanding of the endless technology, such that we can search all of the ruins over again more effectively and find more stuff in them. This also increases how fast you move on roads. I'm going to go ahead and grab that. We have a second here where I think it like makes sense to go get that, and then we'll have our fast horsey run around and rerun all our ruins. The reward you get from a ruin is based to some degree on when in the game you search it.
Okay.
And we can definitely get some cool stuff. That technology is worth a lot of resources.
I wonder what fire tastes like. The taste of fire.
The taste of fire. Yeah, it would be very difficult to taste it, right? Because of the overwhelming pain.
Yeah.
It's going to be kind of the only sense you're going to have of the fire.
And you absolutely can burn your taste buds, and then how are you going to taste the thing? You know, it's...
All right, we're crushing it. Open wounds. Some suspect a curse from an angry god of love, as those wounded in battle can no longer heal themselves. Minus 100% natural regeneration for 9 turns. That can be a real bummer if it happens during a war when you don't really have another way of dealing with stuff.
Yeah.
It's worth noting that it has no effect at all on the Broken Lords. and their dust healing gimmick. So that's kind of cool for them.
Yeah.
All right. So we've found the lab. Sent an ardent mage hero with the transcendent rod and 2 level 6 Ateshi zealots to search the Ishimlor ruins. So those ruins are over there relative to us. That's a distance. We're allowed to move through Green's territory, though. We just got peace with purple. So there's 2 problems with that. First of all,
Okay.
level 6 Ateshi zealot. When we build Ateshi zealots, they come out at level 4. They come out at the level that your current technology, your current era is their level. We can build military academy type buildings. You can see here like this army manual to improve the experience that units start with. But right now, we can't build a level 6 unit, and it would take a significant amount of experience, combat experience, for a unit to move from 4 to 6. So that's a pretty big stopping point for us, actually. That's like a real problem. The other problem here is that Verda's Rod requires 18 Hyperium to equip. But we do have Hyperium income. It's just slow. So we will get there. But it maybe behooves us to try to research a bunch of those extra XP buildings.
Okay.
Try to make that thing happen. So if we were to go back here, this one just increases the fortification on the city. Well, it does give 1 XP per turn to the army in the city garrison. That's something, I guess. Yep, plus 40 XP when recruiting a unit. We'll take it. Plus, this is all fortification stuff. Yeah, fortification and security. So actually, this is the next bonus XP for recruits building. Well, let's grab those 2. Try to get those constructed probably in Graldam and see if we can't build zealots that are at least close. Ooh, that's a lot of purple units. I think red is in some trouble here. Also, we pulled a bunch of red sang from that. Is there 5 red sang on the market? Yeah, there totally is. We can run another red sang booster. And it's a little bit more meaningful this time because we have way more heroes for it to operate on. Okay, Udeli over here probably doesn't really need to build an advanced alchemy lab until it has some more districts. And it does have the population to have some more districts. So I guess let's do that. We're going to do the same thing here, just focus on building around the dock.
Okay.
And I think I'm going to leave people pretty focused on science. Because we definitely want to get those 2 research. We want to get those 2 researches done. We want to get the buildings set up to try to build some high enough level Ateshi zealots. If we don't get, I have no idea how much XP we're going to need to go from level 4 to level 6. What are you? You're level 3. It's 120 XP to go from 3 to 4. So each level, takes more XP to push through than the previous one. So it's going to be like at least 300 XP, right? From 4 to 6.
Could be.
Because I'm thinking if 3 is 120, then like it might be 140 and 160 for the 2 levels above, right?
Okay.
Something like that. But the scaling, who knows? The scaling might be sharper than that.
Yeah.
One thing that's worth considering is just not trying to do this until we're Era 5.
Yeah.
So that we're starting from 5
to...
plus the XP. Is there another... Yes, there is another plus XP building in Era 5 as well. Plus 120 XP. So that seems like a big deal. So yeah, we might have hit a little bit of a wall here. This is the last step of stage 6 of our faction quest, though, so we're pretty deep in it. I think we're gonna call the video approximately here, since we have hit the sort of the end of that momentum. But before we go, let's just take a quick look at who is winning the game right now. So you can win the game by just owning enough of the world map. 28 regions. The Necrophage AI is at 46% of that goal. So that's something to pay attention to if they continue to expand. Because they are losing their war to green, it seems like, I'm a little bit less concerned about this than I might otherwise be. But notice green has had a reduction in military score here. So they lost some units. And pink is only continuing to gain. I'm a little worried. We gotta keep an eye on that. Not that there's a lot we could do to intercede necessarily. Pink's population is incredibly high. No big surprise there. They're doing a lot of killing, so they have a lot of necro to phage. As far as researches go, okay. So green is at 48. Blue is at 48. Pink is at 46. And notice, green is at 48 and hasn't gone up in a while. They're doing some long researches.
Okay.
So they're still showing 0% of the 5 special technologies they would need. They haven't finished one yet, but they might be researching one right now. That might be what we're seeing here. It taking them a long time to put a tech together. We have no idea. We have no idea exactly how close they are to pushing on that victory condition, but they have the ability to go after it. 48 techs is enough to be in the last era, right?
Yes.
9,
I'm
18, 27, 36. Yeah, 45 unlocks the last era.
Okay.
They clearly are getting other stuff. They're focusing on the, techs they need to fight the war or whatever. I don't know. Maybe that's the right thing to do. It doesn't feel like the right thing to do to me. I've always just if you get that high, you just beeline the victory, right? But I guess you do have to not lose the game in order to be able to win the game. Beyond that, purple is producing a crazy amount of money. Our science output's not so bad considering how small our empire is. I'm a little worried about pink being all the way up here. And then, yeah, we're kind of keeping up on faction quest. We're close. All right, so at the moment, this is a game between pink and green.
Mm-hmm.
But purple's on a pretty sharp dust climb, and they are at 15% of the economic victory. And remember, in this game, it's just you have to have made a certain amount of dust. You don't have to have it on hand still. You're allowed to spend. You have to just have produced 777,000 dust. If purple keeps not just running their number upward here, but running their number upward at an increasing rate, this might be something to keep an eye on. I'm a little concerned. Where are they at research wise? They're at 39. So they don't have access to the last era, but they have everything. Well, they kind of have access to everything before that. Purple has a sort of a weird relationship with technology because they're the cast-offs of the Vaulters, and there's a whole where the Vaulters have created a techno-religious cult, the Forgotten have created sort of the opposite, an anti-techno-religious cult, because they so hate the Vaulters who kicked them out of the thing generations ago. So their access to science is a little bit weird. It's not really, I think, a thing to worry about, them pushing for a research victory. But the dust is potentially concerning. All right, I think that's what we're going to call it for today. there are people who are in position to start winning at any moment.
And
We're gonna
not one of them.
yeah, and we're not one of them. We're not particularly close. We are going to hope that pink and green stay occupied enough with each other that neither one of them starts pushing for the victory. The green, wins this war, but wins it kind of slowly would be, I think, ideal. Although if green wins the game without canceling our alliance, we do also automatically win. So I guess there's, that's something to look forward to strategically. So maybe we just sit here and twiddle our thumbs while green wins us a game. That said, I have had the AI break an alliance the turn before they would win because fuck you, player. And I have to admit, it is funny. It is a funny thing to do. So let's not rely on them. When you come back next time, we will be trying still to find our own way to thread this needle and find our own way to win. And maybe we'll bring green along with us. So come back for that, and we'll see you then.